Students, welcome back to the third part of almost every single ways of solving for x part 1. So I think for this video, hopefully we can go from 7 to 10, and then I'll see you on the last video, the last section. Okay, it says solve each equation, do not use logarithms. I think on the later reviews, we will use logarithms a little bit later. We don't have to do it right now. So this is base, and then you have an exponent, and then in the exponents is where our variables are at. So if the bases are the same on each side, which they are, this is a base of 6 and the base of 6 over here. If they are the same, then what you can do is you can just already grab the exponents and set them equal to each other. So then it's going to be 2 minus 3p is equal to negative p. So same base on both sides. Okay. Really, once you're from there, you're going to solve it every other way that you have been solving it. Add 3. I'm going to add 3p on both sides just because there's only a negative p over here. So I'm going to flip it over so that all the p's are on one side. 2 is equal to 2p. Then divide both sides by 2 because of this 2 here, not because of this 2. Okay. Then your p-value is equal to 1. If at any point that you want to check your work, I do want to remind you guys that you guys can plug this in back over here. So let's just go ahead and do it. You don't have to do it, but just making sure that 1 actually works. Okay, so check your work and plug it in, because obviously we're not going to be giving you guys an answer key during the exams. Okay, so, and I think I wrote this problem wrong. This should be a minus. Thank you. Okay, so multiplication first. 3 times 1 is 3. And then 2 minus 3 is negative 1. So they do match. Okay, so these numbers match. So you don't have to do it all the time, but if you definitely want to check your work, especially exam time, you should be checking your work if you have that time. Number 8. Now, these problems are now, they're not going to be having the same base. So what I want you guys to do is change it so that it becomes the same base. So change to same base. What I mean by this is 36. I think these are all 6's. Hopefully, 36. I'm going to change that into 6 squared. And then you still have the negative 2v as your exponent over here. Okay. And then the 1 over 216, this is 1 over 6 to the third. Sorry, it looks like 63. This is 6 to the third power. You guys are going to multiply this over here. So this is going to be 6 to the negative 4v. Okay. If you want to bring this up into the numerator, which you can do that. But you need to change the exponent into a negative. Okay, so to bring it back up into the numerator, change that into a negative exponent. Now the bases match. Bam, bam. Now you just take the exponents and set them equal to each other. Negative 4v is equal to negative 3, and then divide both sides by negative 4. We can leave it as a fraction. V is equal to 3/4, 0.75. Either one is fine. Leave it like this, it's fine. Okay, so that's how you're going to do 7 and 8. Let us now do number 9. Okay, I know a lot of you guys may not know, 216 and all those numbers. So on this homework assignment, there will be a special sheet that I would like for you guys to fill out. I think on numbers 38 to 44, I'm making you guys make a list. And that way you guys can see some of the patterns and memorize those patterns to the thirds, to the fourths, and some to the fifth power like that. So that will be on your own time to just help you guys out with the homework. Let's do number 9 and we'll finish off with number 10. Okay, so same thing over here. Let's just change it into the same base. 36 and the 216s, we already know that we can change it into a base of 6. So let's go ahead and do that. So 36 is going to be 6 squared. We do have a times, and we're going to deal with that a little bit later. And then the 1 over 216, we already did that work on number 8. The 1 over 216 in number 8, I'm going to change that to 6 to the negative 3, okay, because that was all that work for the same problem. So I'm going to go 6 to the negative 3 with the parentheses. 6 to the negative 3. Oh, sorry. And then don't forget, it still had an outer exponent of negative 3m. Okay. All right. 1 over 36. We can put this on the side over here. 1 over 36 is going to be 1 over 6 squared. Okay. And then so when you have 1 over 6 squared, you're going to change that into 6 to the negative 2. So if you want to bring this up into the numerator, bring it up, just have a negative exponent to carry on with that. So 6 to the negative 2, and then don't forget you have that 2m minus 1. Okay, before we apply another rule, we're going to do some multiplications. Okay, so multiply these two over here, and the negative 2 distribute to these two here. So let's kind of simplify this. This is 6 squared times 6 to the 9m is equal to 6 to the negative 4m plus 2. Okay. Next rule. If you're multiplying the same base, because the goal is always to have the same base. So if it's on one side and you're multiplying the same base, you are going to add the exponents. What I mean by this is now it's going to be 6, just have one base, and it's going to be 2 plus 9m. Okay, you have the same base, 6 and 6, add up the exponents. So now you just leave it as one base, 6 to the 2m, 2 plus 9m. They now have the same base, so now you can drop the exponents and set them equal to each other. 2 plus 9m is equal to negative 4m plus 2. Let's go ahead and solve this. I'm going to add 4m on both sides. 2 plus 13m is equal to 2. Ooh, this is going to be a nice one. Minus 2 on both sides. And this can happen. This can happen. 13m is equal to 0. And then divide both sides by 13. This is a legitimate answer. Sometimes it's equal to 0. Okay. Before we move on to number 10, which is going to be the last problem for this video, I do want to remind you guys about the zeros and the division of the zeros. When you have 0 divided by anything, like 105, so 0 divided by anything, that's a 0, okay? 0 divided by 496, blah, 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 that's a 0. But if the 0 is on the denominator, that's going to be undefined. 13 divided by 0. We cannot divide by 0. Okay? But 0 divided by 13, that's fine. All right, let us do number 10. And I'm going to have to actually, this is a second take for number 10 because I made a mistake in the previous one. So hopefully I'll splice this one up. And, well, let's just get down to it. Let's go change the bases. 1 over 36. We've done that work on number 9 already. 1 over 36 is 6 to the negative 2. That's an equivalent. So I'm going to go 6 to the negative 2 here. We do have a fraction bar, division bar. 216 is going to be 6 to the third power. Don't forget we have that parentheses 3p minus 3. 6 to the third. Okay. Before we apply some new rules, let's go ahead and distribute those. 6 to the negative 2 over 6 to the 9p minus 9, so they're multiplying, is equal to 6 to the third power. Okay, we got the same base. Your new rule for this part is if you are dividing the same bases, number 9 we were multiplying, number 10 now we're dividing. If you're dividing the same bases, you're going to subtract the exponents. This is what I mean. Similar to number 9, we're only going to have one base. You're going to start off with 6 to the negative 2. We are dividing, so we're going to put the minus sign here. And then, because we have more than one term, I'm going to add in parentheses. So always add in parentheses And this is where the 9p minus 9 is going to go. You know, this rule with adding in the parentheses just keeps going. I mean, if you take a look back on number 2, for number 2, we had to add that parentheses for the proportions because there was more than one term. So similar to number 10 too as well. 6 to the third. Okay. Then we are going to distribute this part over here. 6 to the negative 2 minus 9p plus 9 is equal to 6 to the 3. You know, at this point, because the bases already match, and even though they're not simplified yet, you can already set the exponents equal to each other. So let's go ahead and do that. Negative 2 minus 9p plus 9 is equal to 3. Combine the terms. 7 minus 9p is equal to 3. Subtract 7 on both sides. Negative 9p is equal to negative 4. And divide both sides by negative 9. P should equal to 4/9. Okay, finally, yes, that's good. Okay, see you on the next video.